Anybody? Lisa, Derek, Angela, Sharon, Pauline, Jerome? They were having two CEOs. Okay, two CEOs in one entity. Who's really in charge? Not a good idea. Angela is not for it. Okay, there might be a problem if they don't agree on issues. So what you're really saying, Josephine, you really have to be careful of how you pick the two of them. Can't pick them independently. So it's not a good idea, it's potential conflict. Okay, what I gather from Angela, Josephine, and Derek is that the negatives outweigh the positives. So, but think on that. Sometimes you're going to come across, I think, a company that has a dual CEO. One is Royal Dutch Shell, and I think, I'm not sure if they still do, but Lever, the famous consumer products company, they have had tended to they have had a dual CEO a number of times. Okay. Might want to trumpet their own cause, so we're saying each one as opposed to the other. It takes a special type of character and personality to have this, it's maybe the really personality and what should I say, the personal relationship would probably be the most important if it's to work. I want to point out to everybody, before we move on to start the last one, I don't think we can finish it today. Okay, joint CEO if the business is clear and visible. So you'd appoint the joint CEO, but each of them would have some sort of focus, more focus on certain areas of the business. Okay. I want to show you, consider looking at the bibliographies. And I'm not just saying big, okay? But someone is ultimately responsible. Okay, what you're saying is when you get down to nitty-gritty, somebody has to call the shots. Fair enough. Anybody else? Right, this feedback. Very good. Very good, very good. Anyway, the bibliography page here. You notice a number of web links. And this was going to look at some of them on your own time. What I'm saying is that all of these slides, these PowerPoint sessions have a bibliography. And you might find something about more specific on each of these from an international perspective. Increasingly, we have to have an international perspective in Jamaica. Even more so in the States, because where this U.S. trade is probably 20% of GDP or GNP. Jamaica is coming 50-60%. So we don't have an international perspective, we're not going to really do well. But look at some of these links. Abrikian struggles are big. That's the bottom bullet. They're a big recruiting firm, executive recruiting firm. Executive compensation trends with Equilar. Booz Allen, big consulting firm. And then they have Spencer Stewart, another big executive recruiting firm. Look at, if you want to look, maybe you want to check on some of these, so maybe they have some areas very interesting. Okay, now, what I propose, I think where the break with my internet problem took up some of our time, I'd like to start compensation. I have the feeling where it's a little late, we can't really finish it, and we have to finish next time. What do you think on this matter? Should we? I would like to start, but what do you would you like to call it a day now, or would you want to start and go for maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then call it a day. I need the feedback from you on this. Call it a night, Colleen says. Anybody else? Somebody, I agree with Colleen. Who do you agree with Derek? Is it Colleen and Leon or is it Angela? Colleen, okay, so unless Lisa and Cheryl, okay, you're good, okay. Well, before we go, so I want to just point out, those of you who are not here at the beginning, okay, sure, Colin, I just want to show you too. I introduced at the beginning 3 articles that are on the website. One is about value maximization, looking at what should the objective function of the firm be. And so we're looking at stakeholder and shareholder theory and so forth. And comes up with an interesting proposition that it's worth looking at and thinking about. That really what Michael Jones calls enlightened stakeholder theory. You have a shareholder priority, but you can't ignore the other stakeholders. So that's one article I want to look at. Second article is one called Agency Cost of Overvalued Equity. The idea is that if you have some company's share price is overvalued, especially for some time, maybe management and executive management and other decision makers might start cutting corners in terms of trying to maintain this overvalued equity. Can't be maintained by company performance because it wasn't based on company performance, and therefore they start cutting corners and manipulating and, what should I say, shaving, how should I say, carving up that the report, the financial statement. Have a look at that. Second one. The third one is this one, corporate governance in emerging markets. Emerging economies. Review of the principal problem. And this one is talking about the issue of a principal agent. Here I have a slide on page 200. That's on the text or slide 5. Now the principal agent, which is where you have issue of shareholders dealing with professional managers. How do the principals get the agent to do what the principals want? In the case of when you have 2 types of principals, minority shareholder and a controlling shareholder. The controlling shareholder often is able to have the manager get them appoint their person or the person they want as manager. Now this is more prevalent in our economy than in US or UK, but we tend to have dominant, if not always majority ownership in terms of a controlling group. So this issue of the principal conflict, I want you to have a look at this article. Some nice diagrams in there. I want to get the gist of it and look at and think of some of the issues and how you might deal with them. Those 3 articles, the one on agency cost of overvalued equity, value maximization, stakeholder and so forth, and then corporate governance in emerging economies. Next time I'm going to bring some more articles and just introduce them to you. Okay? They are downloaded on the JSU website. All of them are there. All of this, Damien has helped bring them up from JSU website. A lot of material on the JSU website. There's also CorpGov X, some .com, a web link that has some nice diagrams. Don't go into it in great detail, because some of the diagrams on this web link might be a little convoluted and mathematical, but it's a good link in terms of the issues of corporate governance. It's not a discursive, it's more diagrammatic and a drill down effects. Corp, exec, I think something like that. But have a look at it. Okay, so next time we read Monday, please look at the website, start reading some more, and also if you have time, I would look at some of those links on the back of some of these presentations, because in the bibliography section, some of them are very good. So, all of you have a good evening and have a good week, and hope it ends drier than it is now. Have a good one.